The significance of convening this meeting was obvious right at the beginning and when it was first conceived. But I think events of the past week, the blasphemous first state-sponsored conference of Holocaust denial, underscored and enhanced the importance of this session. We are here to seek justice by bringing Iran's President Ahmadinejad to justice, and for that, we have several proposals that you will hear. But first, we want to appeal to the court of public opinion to inform and educate the American people and people around the world regarding the threat and danger posed by this Iranian dictator by virtue of his threats, his incitement, and his deeds, particularly in achieving the unique status as the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. The immediacy of this situation is made all the more urgent by virtue of Iran's relentless pursuit of nuclear weapons capacity. We have witnesses here who lived through the Second World War, survivors who paid the price, and whose pain I can only imagine when they hear the charges and the claims that were made over the last few days. Today we will hear from a number of outstanding personalities, world-recognized authorities, who will lay out the charges and the basis for legal action in various venues. We believe that Ahmadinejad's actions warrant Iran's removal, or at least its suspension from the United Nations and the community of nations. 70 years ago, Hitler repeatedly made his intentions clear, but the international community chose to ignore or dismiss his threats. Avoidance or appeasement only exacerbate the dangers posed by tyrants like Ahmadinejad, who see such responses as indications of weakness, even capitulation. While the people of Iran overwhelmingly reject his extremist ideology, as evidenced by the attendance at his sponsored exhibition of Holocaust cartoons following the contest, the worldwide contest that he initiated. Less than 50 people a day go in a city of 13 million and a country of 70 million because the people of Iran are embarrassed and reject what Ahmadinejad stands for. The leading state sponsor of terrorism. This distinction he wears proudly. But there are still many misguided and malevolent people who will rally to his call. Applying the rule of law and international justice to him will rally the forces of good and hopefully dissuade those who seek to foster death and destruction. Iran's president has made the destruction of Israel his avowed policy, announcing in 2005 that Israel should be wiped off the map. He continues to threaten Israel, the United States, Europe, and supports terrorist organizations responsible for attacks around the world. He attacks Christians. He attacks Muslims who don't agree with him. He attacks Jews. He rejects all of those who don't follow his extremist positions. This week we saw an all-time low with the Conference on Holocaust Denial. Only 1 year after the passage of a UN resolution forcefully rejecting denial of the Holocaust, and one of those responsible for the passage of that resolution just joined us. His anti-Semitic tirades take on even more ominous meaning when coupled with his unrelenting determination. We've seen his support of Hamas and Hezbollah. His declarations to destroy Israel have been met with widespread outcry, but the threats continue unabated. How is it that 70 years after the Holocaust, someone can threaten to destroy the Jewish state and the Jewish people and still remain part of the international community? There are legal mechanisms. One is the UN Genocide Convention, particularly its clause against incitement to commit genocide. His statements, as you will hear soon, are in direct violation of that convention. His calls to destroy UN member state contravene the UN Charter. These threats demand action by the Security Council. After all, genocide is a crime which gave birth to the UN over 60 years ago. As Kofi Annan recently said, it can rightly said that the UN emerged from the ashes of the Holocaust. We are going to call on the UN to live up to its charter and act to enforce international law.